All right, so Resident Evil 7 is coming out later this month, and there's been a lot of discussion about what people think of the game. A lot of people have said the game is pretty terrifying. I think some people who played it probably needed to change their pants because they
Yeah,
did not really know what to expect going into this game, and it's a pretty stark contrast from previous entries into the series, or at least recent games in the series. You know, Resident Evil has always kind of been about these scary creatures and everything, but I think now with Resident Evil 7, it's really going back to its roots, kind of going away from being an action combat game and going back to, okay, let's try to make the player feel unnerved. Let's actually try to scare them.
yeah, and granted, I think it's a great idea because, like you were talking about, the past few entries to the series. I mean, it's just been kind of like this action, kind of went away from its roots a little bit. I know I played the Resident Evil 7 demo, and literally, man, I was on edge the whole entire time. Like, really, I was like, please just don't scare me anymore. I mean, this is, I mean, it was crazy, man. I mean, and I loved it. I mean, after it's all said and done, it's like you really feel like, man, I just now survived like something serious just now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I'm anxious to see like this game and its full release. I think it's going to be great. It's a good revamp for the series, and it's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me think back to Resident Evil 4, which is one of my favorite games of all time, which was the first real departure from the traditional old school Resident Evil formula of
Right,
survival horror with limited ammo and kind of the tank controls. And it could be argued that while controls were becoming more modernized, and Resident Evil 4 was just the game there at the time to take them, into the next phase of gaming into what was
right.
becoming popular at that point. But I think that game really illustrated that it is possible for popular franchises to keep things fresh and reinvent themselves while still retaining these common elements. Because technically, Resident Evil 7 still is a shooter, and it still has sort of a similar premise. You can argue with the first one with the house and the mansion and all
Right.
these different similarities that people have pointed out. But I really hope that Resident Evil 7 will be look back on like Resident Evil 4, and we'll say that's a game that really kind of breathed new life into the series.
Absolutely, because Resident Evil 4, it's still considered one of the greatest of all time,
Absolutely.
and so anxious to see where the series goes from here.